using the PLD tracking sheets within the foundation year. From the perspective of an individual student, you get to profile that student and establish teaching and learning goals. From a classroom level, there is always going to be a range in ability, but what we get to do is establish targeted teaching groups, placing like students together and establishing a goal for that group of students. Tips for setting up the PLD tracking sheet. Tip 1, each year register for the new tracking sheets that can be downloaded. Once they're downloaded, convert them from Excel into a cloud-based format so that multiple classrooms within your junior primary can access those tracking sheets simultaneously. What we don't want is each individual class having their own set of tracking sheets. They're a junior primary set of tracking sheets. It is essential that those entering the data have completed this very short training video, which outlines not using formulas and complex processes, but 2 quite simple functions to engage in while using those tracking sheets: how to hide and unhide, and how to cut and reorganize all of the data for the school year and organise students into those targeted teaching groups. Now, the tracking sheets recognise that children come to the education system with a range of factors. We're not going to, in this column, write words, but there are abbreviations of all of the factors that often cause students to be Tier 2 and Tier 3 students, and which can complicate learning. Now, your tracking sheet is going to be very long. It profiles your classroom group for the entire year, but it's important that you're only ever looking at one term at a time. So when it is term 3, you're going to hide term 1 and term 2, hide term 4, and only have term 3 in view. Unfortunately, if you have a composite classroom, whether that's a foundation year 1 or an early years foundation group, unfortunately, you're going to be setting up 2 tabs. Then later in the year, it's quite easy to merge these different year levels together, but within semester 1, they're probably going to be separate. What are the steps in utilising the PLD tracking sheets? From your screening and tracking manual, you will find subtests. So from a pre-spelling point of view, there is segmentation that drives later spelling ability. From a pre-reading point of view, there's blending, and that's going to drive decoding. From the alphabet point of view, there's the recall and the formation that supports spelling. But then there's the recognition of these symbols and verbalizing the sounds, and that is going to support reading. Each of those subtests go onto the tracking sheets. From a spelling point of view, there's term 1, term 2, term 3 assessments for spelling, which are going to go on your tracking sheets, as well as we have end of term 1, end of term 2, and 3 and 4 reading assessments, which are going to also go onto those tracking sheets. As has already been mentioned, we need to hide all non-current terms. So the spreadsheet's very wide, and it's a matter of clicking on the letters at the top, right-clicking with your mouse, dropping down and hiding columns. This information video provides a demonstration and an explanation, but a short video also demonstrating how this is done. So right-click, drop down to hide. Again, an individual, or pulling across and being more efficient and hiding a bulk number of columns. They're still there, but for the moment they're hidden. And so what you've got is just your term, your current term in front of you, and then right click and unhide, and there they all are. Enter the subtests results, and the screening differs from term to term, but you're going to enter that range of scores into your tracking sheet. And this is a really nice overview from your teaching sequence manual with the term 1, term 2, term 3, and term 4 screening outlined in it. The next step is, from all of that data, is to arrange it into 2 or 3 targeted teaching groups. It is as simple as moving all of the students that are keeping up with that teaching sequence down to the bottom, those that have learnt and are responding to the teaching of the term, but who require a little bit more work. And the students at the top, they are starting to really fall behind the classroom levels. A short demonstration video. So clicking over here on the numbers and right click cut, and we're going to move students down. Right click, cut that whole line of data, and then we're going to paste it in a different location. That student, right click cut, and we're going to move them up towards the top of the spreadsheet because their skills look quite low. But in this process, you're creating order and ordering like students together. Right click and paste. Sometimes you will be inserting columns and deleting columns. A few more students still to be organised in the appropriate groups. Another student drop down, right click, paste. And once they're in their appropriate groups, we're going to start to describe what that teaching plan is for those groups of students. So we have students here that are keeping up with the teaching sequence outline, these that need a little bit more small group work, and we've got students here that are really falling behind, not in terms of the alphabet, but their phonemic awareness really needs solid attention. In term 3, who's keeping up with that, and who is still learning and acquiring and demonstrating digraphs at a reading level, a spelling level, and a writing level? The spelling and writing will take more practice, more rehearsal. Reading's the easy one to develop. The other two take more time. But who's keeping up with that teaching sequence? And which of the students in the middle of your spreadsheet in term 3 are still operating at a term 2 level? And then which are still struggling to acquire their pre-literacy skills and their single word CVC skills? So grouping on the basis of keeping up with that teaching sequence, a little bit behind, and right at the top, quite a long way behind the rest of their peers. In terms of red flags, common errors in terms of those tracking sheets. Number 1, finished. Teachers often say, I've done the testing, I've entered on the spreadsheet, and I'm finished. Well, where's your plan? All this shows is a mass of different numbers and scores, and there's a range. But where's your plan? We want to pull down to the bottom all the students that are keeping up with this term 2 teaching sequence, or who are ready to move on. Those that aren't ready to move on and they need more term 2 learning, and who actually is more aligned with the term 1 learning. Another common red flag, over-testing. We've got a range of students here who scored 100%, 90%, 70%, 60%. If they were really strong with their CVC spelling, why keep assessing their alphabet and their segmentation, their pre-CVC skills? If they're scoring 70, 80, 90, 100%, do you think you can assume they've got their pre-CVC skills? I would say so. So once PLD has been launched, In your junior primary, you're then looking at a maintenance phase and how to keep the implementation fresh and focused. PLD has this really nice page with very simple tips to engage in to keep that implementation strong. Now, within that page, tip 4 reminds us that using the tracking sheets with fidelity and establishing really tight, well-constructed teaching plans is central to PLD's implementation. Remember, there is support available through the website, but this concludes using the PLD tracking sheets within the foundation school year. All the best. If you found this information useful, don't forget to click the subscribe button and check out our related videos shown here. If you have any questions or feedback, please add them to the comments below and we'll be sure to respond. Otherwise, you can reach us via live chat on our website, pld-literacy.org. Thanks again for viewing.